Hi, everyone. Greetings of the day. This is your medieval astrologer Subramanian Balagopalan with yet another interesting video. And this video is regarding a major surgery that one of my close relatives underwent a couple of weeks back, I would say. And I thought, let me try and analyze if this event was visible using primary directions, distribution through the bounds, solar returns, and perfections. The same framework that I've been using to demonstrate the accuracy and reliability of this technique. And the reason I bring up this point regarding accuracy and reliability is the fact that, say, I have been a Hindu astrologer, in the sense I've been training myself in the Hindu and Indian ways of astrology. And obviously, many of you must be aware that it's very popular for having like 5 dozen techniques in schools and stuff like you got multiple dasha systems, conditional dasha systems, sign based dasha systems, planetary dasha systems, uh, divisional charts, and then a whole bunch of rules, and also other complexities involved. So sometimes it is overwhelming because you also have the nakshatra angle, and yes, a lot of these things are interesting and insightful. But my question is, whether they are super reliable, because many times I have seen events happening, and you'll have to be guided a lot by intuition to be able to predict that. And I can tell you, because I have been doing this for a while now and have also trained under various gurus. But somewhere down the line, when I was introduced to this form of astrology, of course, the chart representation is a little different, where I'm using a circular chart. But I also feel that it makes things easier if you use this kind of representation. I'm not against any other chart form. If you ask me, I love the Persian or Greek square chart because it becomes easy to superimpose any other subsidiary chart positions. But then I think this is a very very reliable, robust, and a repeatable kind of framework, which allows you to predict almost any type of event. And if at all you have browsed through the previous videos that I have made on this topic, I would have pretty much touched different facets of life, right? So with that background, I'll again quickly jump to the analysis part. So this person, as I said, underwent a major surgery, and I'll also show you a super interesting point on how transits also pinpoint uh, this event, right? So with that said, uh, let us look at the most recent primary directions that are active, right? So around 2024, Feb of 2024, the moon was directed to the terms of Mercury in Libra, right? And one of the reasons why I am saying moon also is a significator of body, mind you. And Mercury, the reason this caught my attention, one is moon being a significator of body, and Mercury also happens to be the ascendant lord, right? So because moon is directed to the terms of Mercury in Libra, moon becomes an important chronocrator. It becomes a divisor, right? Now let us look at Mercury, because now Mercury becomes an important time lord. Mercury, if you see in the revolution chart, is in the sixth house, right? Mercury is in the sixth house. Sixth house again is got to do with illness, hospitalization, surgery, a lot of unpleasant things, right? And this Mercury not only is the ascendant lord placed in the sixth house of the revolution chart, it is also conjunct the revolution Mars. And what is Mars? Mars is the natal sixth lord, because the sixth house cusp is Scorpio. So to summarize, you have the natal ascendant lord Mercury, which is the chronocrator, conjunct the revolution Mars, which is the natal sixth lord, in the sixth house of the revolution chart. So the sixth house related matters are greatly emphasized. Apart from that, if you see, you also have many planets in the sixth house, many planets posited in the sixth house in this particular year in the revolution chart. And that also gives us a clue that maybe in this year, sixth house matters are going to be very prominent in this person's life. And again, sixth house is all related to surgery, illness, hospitalization, and all those things. Plus, as I said, your ascendant lord Mercury again denotes the body, and that is conjunct with a malefic Mars. And this chart being a diurnal chart, this guy is a day birth before sunset. Obviously, Mars becomes the greater infortune because it is contrary to the sect, right? So I know I am talking about certain concepts, but you can read about this particular concept that I mentioned about, in sect and out of sect, or contrary to the sect or against the sect. So the basic rule is, in a day chart, right, Saturn is the lesser malefic as such, whereas Mars is more malefic if it is not like well dignified. In night chart, it is vice versa. Saturn, if it is not well placed, is going to screw you more as compared to Mars. Both are malefics. They will definitely show their true basic malefic nature. But then in a night chart, Saturn can do more damage if not well dignified, and in a day chart, Mars can do more damage. In this case, as I said, Mars is conjunct the natal ascendant Lord Mercury in the revolution chart, right? So we know that definitely this is not looking nice for this person, right? Now, just a few more points that I wanted to bring to your notice. See, the ascendant is directed to the terms of Jupiter in Leo, right? Ascendant, and I also use Morinus to calculate the approximate positions. Ascendant is roughly somewhere 3 degrees of Leo, right? So ascendant is somewhere 3 degrees of Leo. If I plot it here, it's going to be somewhere here. The directed ascendant is 3 degrees of Leo, right? But also the fact that Jupiter also is one of the chronocraters or time lords. And Jupiter, if you see in the revolution chart, is actually not so well placed. It is in the 12th house of the chart. So it is in the 12th house. And 12th house again has got to do with confinement, right? And as I said, after this person got, because it was a toe surgery or a leg surgery, and then after that the doctor has advised him to follow restricted mobility almost for a couple of weeks to almost months. So yes, so this confinement related aspect comes in, though you might say that this is hindsight and not so easy, but yes, so it is definitely not very well placed is all I would say, right? Let us look at another important point. As I said, the moon is directed to the terms of Mercury in Libra. So if you see the band of moon is directed to the terms of Mercury. Mercury is the 6 degrees to 14 degrees band, and I use Morinus to calculate the approximate position of moon in the month of July 2026, and moon is roughly around 8 degrees of Libra. So moon is somewhere around 8 degrees of Libra. So this is the directed moon, right? Directed moon is 8 degrees of Libra. Now, just a few points, right? If you see, this being a revolution in chart, obviously, at least you can look at immediate squares, oppositions kind of thing. And if you see, Venus is in 5 degrees of Capricorn and directed moon is at 8 degrees of Libra. So in a couple of days, Venus will actually fall into this 8 degrees band and cast a square aspect on the directed moon. Same is the case with Sun, and then a couple of weeks maybe Mars will also end up casting a square aspect on the directed moon. So all I want to say is, in a couple of days or weeks, almost like 3 planets, Venus, Sun and Mars, will end up casting a square aspect on the directed moon, which obviously is not very helpful because Mars again will carry the 6 lord connotations, right? And Venus is also the natal 12th lord. So you have 6th lord involved, you have 12th lord involved, you have 6th house involved. So obviously it is giving you enough clues that it may be a tough year, and the person may experience a lot of unpleasant events, right? And especially the fact that the ascendant lord is like very closely conjunct the uh, 6th lord Mars in the 6th house. And Mars also happens to be the profected 12th lord, because in this year the profected sign actually moves to Taurus, because he completes 47 years and he's running his 48th year, and 48th year is uh, you know tantamount to the 12th house, and which is basically the 12th sign from the ascendant, and that is Taurus. So Venus again becomes the profected ascendant lord, right? And the profected ascendant lord is actually casting a square to the uh, directed moon, right. Another important point that I just thought I'll let you know, just 2 months before his surgery, right, the sun was conversely directed to a square of Saturn. Okay. And why? As I said, my guru always used to tell me you have to look at luminaries and especially the sect light. This being a diurnal chart, sun is the sect light, and hence we are looking at directions of the sun, and the sun was conversely directed to a square of Saturn. Now, this makes Saturn again an important chronocrator. And just remember, Saturn also is the 8th lord. Saturn is the natal 8th lord. So, 8th lord related significations also are triggered, because the sun is directly the square of Saturn is directed, sun is directed to a square of Saturn, right? Now I will come to a super interesting point. Now he actually the surgery happened on the 6th of July. Okay, and this is one of the reasons why I also brought out Saturn as an important chronocrator, right? The surgery happened on the 6th of July, and I have actually uh, created a bi-wheel chart. The inner chart is still the same natal chart that you see above. The inner planetary positions are synonymous with the natal chart. It is the natal chart inside. If you see, the inner chart is the natal chart. The outer chart is actually the transit positions on the day of the surgery. So this is transit on surgery date. Now see the beauty. Saturn is an important chronocrator, and Saturn is also the 8th lord. On the day of surgery, which is the 6th of July, Saturn was at 20 degrees of Pisces. And if you see, it is casting a sharp square aspect on the ascendant, which is at 20 degrees of Gemini. So, Saturn is the natal 8th lord, casting a square aspect on the ascendant, which is again body. So, obviously, we can see that this day could be a very this day could be really important or emphasized in terms of heightened malefic influences. And obviously on this particular day the surgery went well, successful. But then and that is also because of other things, like you have Jupiter in the ascendant exalted. So that is definitely a factor that helps. And another point I observed around this time also, of course though not exact, you have Mars casting an opposition aspect on Mercury, which is the natal ascendant lord. So I said this is how one should end up doing a more holistic chart analysis, so that that you are not just looking at a very, not scratching the surface, you are actually getting into the details. So I hope you found this interesting and insightful. And if you like my video, please go ahead and press the like button. And I keep saying this, if you want, do end up subscribing to my channel for more interesting videos. Thank you. Stay smart and continue to have a great weekend ahead. Bye bye. Cheers.